All right, British, Pakistani, Muslim.
Hello, Harris. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What would you like to say?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you, mate, for allowing people to come on the show, maybe challenge some of the things you say. I think that's
Sure.
very important to have. So basically, I want to talk to you about something you said earlier today, which I think was a false equivalency.
Okay.
So you equated the killing of the Pakistani Muslim family by a white supremacist in Canada to the two Afghan refugees raping and killing a 13-year-old girl, right?
I didn't equate it. No, I'd see this. I'm not equating it in terms of crime itself. I am simply trying to ask Pakistani people. I'm trying to raise the consciousness to a point that yes, we need to be outraged on what happened to the Pakistani Canadian family, but why are we not seeing the equal amount of outrage?
No, I'll explain. I'll explain
Okay.
why.
Well, anyway, I'm just explaining my point, and that's my point of view.
Yeah,
So
that's the false.
let's go from there.
That's the false equivalency you're making right there.
Okay.
So the
In terms of
reason why,
outrage. In
the
terms of
reason,
outrage, yeah? No,
yeah,
hang
yeah,
on. So let's get it right. So in terms of outrage, you're
yeah,
saying that this is a false equivalence, but you're
yes,
not accusing me of equating the crime. Okay, sure.
yes, okay.
Sure.
So the reason why it's a false equivalency is due to the police releasing evidence, or they have evidence showing that the Muslim family were targeted as a result of their faith, specifically as a result of their faith, right? Okay.
Okay.
So I've looked at the case with regards to the two Afghan refugees. There is nothing to suggest that they targeted that girl because they were Muslims and she was a non-Muslim. So it's a false equivalency. Do you understand?
Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm not talking about necessarily that hatred that is because of Islam or not Islam. The point that I'm talking about is that when we get refugees in these Western countries, then we have to take some responsibility, or we have to understand that some of these things happen from countries that have a different way of looking towards women autonomy, for instance. I mean, these countries, for example, Afghanistan is much more sexually repressive than it is Pakistan. And then obviously the hierarchy goes on. So I'm simply talking about the refugees when they come there. And then this is the reason why, if you see, and again, I'm not supporting that, but what I'm saying is that when you get these white supremacists who go on against the refugee movement, or say, well, there's so many refugees coming in, then this is what they feed on. There should be. I mean, why do I sometimes talk about refugees as well? I mean, that's not necessarily an Islamic issue. You could argue, you could stretch it. You could say, well, the Islamic countries are so messed up that's why they're so messed up because of Islam, and then they always come to the kafir infidel countries. You can argue with that, but fair enough. I don't really go that far. I just talk about if I'm talking about just refugees, I'm just talking about refugees purely on that reason that there's a cultural divide there, and it is a responsibility of people of color or people of the native countries to talk about these things, because otherwise the white supremacist would be holding the narrative. So
you're not native of Afghanistan, are you?
Sorry?
You said the people who are native of those countries.
Well,
You just said that a second ago.
yeah, but still, yeah, it'd be ideal if they do that. But yeah, I'm much closer to Afghanistan than I am to, let's say, England.
Yeah, and maybe, like, for example, you mentioned, but let's go back to what you said earlier. You said, why are Pakistanis reacting differently, right? You said that about a minute ago, right? The reason why Pakistanis are not reacting to this is, first of all, it wasn't a Pakistani who committed the crime. The two refugees were Afghan.
Right.
Secondly,
Okay.
the crime committed in Canada were against a Pakistani family. Okay.
Right. No. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, that's a fair point. You could actually argue with that okay, this is not a Pakistani involved, and that's why they're not. But the whole refugee movement, but when we do know that that's just one example I'm talking about, but there's so many other instances when it's just not, when it doesn't involve Pakistanis, and then we see the Islamophobia narrative being parroted in Pakistan as well. So that also happens because there's a concept of ummah, where we do take responsibility when something bad happens to the ummah. But when something bad is happening on the ummah scale, then surely you can talk about that. I mean, let me ask you a question. Do you get outraged when you see these kind of incidents? When we saw what's the Germany one, for example, that they were so horrifying that there were rapes happening in a circle and then people did not know 5 feet away that there was a rape happening in there. I'm saying that you are outraged. Are you? Let me put you on the spot. Are you just as outraged when you hear about those things as you are when you hear a hijabi girl?
Yes.
Exactly.
Now let me ask you, are you equally outraged when Congolese children are being raped by soldiers, almost day-to-day basis? But you decided today to highlight this specific case because of their
I haven't heard about it. I haven't heard about this.
Well, how come you heard about this one and
Well,
you're not what you're
maybe,
always specifically focusing on, and you basically targeted them because they were Muslim? That's the only reason you brought
no. Okay, all right.
There was I looked at the case. There was no evidence to suggest that they did it because of Islam.
Zero evidence. No, I never said it's because of Islam. I never said it's because of Islam.
So why focus on that particular case?
Why? Because I can't talk about anything else other than Islam. I mainly talk about social issues.
It doesn't look like it from where I'm.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There's so many social issues that I talk about. Where is Islam in this case? When these clerics do it, it involves madrasas, but I never said that it's because of Islam that they do it.
That's your home country. You said you focused
this one,
Islam, but this was an Afghan. This was 2 Afghan men. They weren't Pakistani men.
Yeah, but I do. There is a playlist that I call about
Muslim. Yeah. Let's be honest.
No. I focus because these are refugees. I spoke, and yes, I can talk about Muslims as well, of course. But the other point is, I also follow most of my Twitter followers, I follow a lot of Pakistani Twitter users, Pakistani celebrities. So of course, this actually came up by a Pakistani who actually shared the news article, but there was no trends or anything. Which, look, again, you made a very good point on that. That because no, hang on, I'm being charitable here. I'm saying you actually made a good point that it was about Afghanistan. So there should be a reasonable demand should be that why there are no Twitter trends in Afghanistan about it. Yeah. Fair enough. Pakistan not being outraged. I was generally talking about the refugee issues that we have, that refugees go from everywhere, and mainly Muslim countries, to Europe. So I'm basically talking about the refugee issue. I didn't blame Islam on this.
But that's not true. Most refugees don't come to Europe. They go to Arab countries. There are 5 million Palestinian refugees in Jordan. There are how many million refugees, Afghan refugees, are there in Pakistan? How many million Rohingya refugees are there in Bangladesh? How many refugees are there in Lebanon?
Yeah, I'm talking about Middle Eastern. No, I'm talking about Middle Eastern ones.
Most Middle Eastern refugees go to Middle Eastern countries. 5 million Palestinian refugees.
Yeah, but that's the only one. That's the only example you've got, because that's accumulated over 70 years. Yeah, I'm talking about recent. I'm talking about recent conflicts.
Okay, how many Syrians were there prior to the Syrian war, and how many in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I know that.
How many Syrians are there today?
But Syrian war happened now, right? So the point is, they did go to Europe, right? So there is an influx. With Germany took 2.5 million.
How much did Turkey take?
Sorry,
5 million. How much did Turkey take? 5 million.
Yeah, that's okay. That look again. This is a problem.
Europe, and it's not true.
That's okay. Maybe not in the quantitative terms, but again, okay. So there's a lot of Let me revise that. A lot of refugees go to Europe, right? So, so obviously this is a point, and there would be a much bigger cultural divide between Muslims going to Europe than Muslims going to a Muslim country, right? You agree with that? So I remember the news story when an Afghan in Australia, in a Melbourne beach, raped a young girl at a beach, and even the judge said, the defense presented the case that it was this guy came from a different culture, and he couldn't process this information or whatever, and so and the judge actually released him after 1 year or something, suspended sentence or something. My point is, even if we go by that okay, it's a cultural divide. That is still needs to be. We need to educate these men at some point at our own capacity, rather than expecting the Gora people to teach them that.
Okay.
Do you agree with that? So the outrage.
I
agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but what I want to say is, what statistics do you have to show that refugees commit more rape?
Oh, actually, it's actually written in my book. Yeah, I actually don't have it with me, but I've actually written them in my book. So there's an unequal distribution of actually, it's not refugees. It's actually the migrants. The term was actually more migrants, which is the first generation migrants.
I'm
but
specifically refugees. In terms of refugees,
right. Okay.
Because you
Well,
mentioned
okay.
refugees, we were talking about refugees earlier, so I thought, do you have any figures to show?
I don't have any. I don't have any figures at the moment. But my point is, again, if there is any case, it's reasonable to talk to try to build to try to educate them or to highlight the issue. No one is saying the majority of refugees would be doing that, but if there is a cultural divide. So why do people would use that argument? And this is actually more of a this is probably more of a compassionate position to take, that okay, this is a cultural divide that is causing it. And to some extent I would probably say that, because I mean it's valid, because yes, it could be the fact that they've come from a sexually repressive society.
It would only be a cultural divide if there's figures to show that they're higher than the population that are in these countries, so they're disproportionately higher in terms of rape or sexual assaults, etc. But you would have to provide evidence to show that.
Oh,
right?
well, okay. Well, let's just talk about it next time when I'll find that. But again, that wasn't the point I made in that either. I just made the point when I shared. Well, hang on. Let me finish the point, because that would end, otherwise it'd go vague. That's not the point that I made either. At any point, that they're more. Maybe Tommy Robinson might have made that comment. I've never made that comment. My point, again, of highlighting the news stories, because I do comment on news stories, and any news story that actually shakes me, I talk about it. And the point that I made is that the simple fact, which I concede, that you said that, okay, Pakistanis are probably not outraged. And again, I don't think Pakistanis are to be blamed on that either. I think the media doesn't actually talk about this, because there's a strong narrative that any event of Islamophobia is very easily plastered and down all the way up to our prime minister. He would talk about this. Any incident takes place anywhere about Islamophobia, he would. But obviously, this is beneath him. He's not going to talk about it. But as a news outlet, mainstream media, Pakistani or these Islamic, actually, I don't even know the Arabic media, what they're doing, but they should talk about this, or they should highlight this just as any other news. Okay, just talk about it as any other news. That was my only point, that they should be outraged. You said that you were outraged. You said that you are equally outraged, and that's perfectly fine. And as I said, I would be equally outraged as well. But as I also said, the outrage needs to be shown as well.
Okay, fair enough what you said. Okay, so you're saying that Pakistan media should have highlighted this specific case, yeah? But should they highlight the rapes committed in Congo by Congolese soldiers on civilian population? Should they also highlight each and every single one of those equally?
No, but it's a talking.
Why should they highlight this?
Because it's too far away. Pakistan has more. Pakistan will talk more about India and Afghanistan. You know that, because of the close proximity.
But why should
Pakistan? No, but they do though.
But these guys were not
but they talk about.
They were in Europe.
No, but they talk about but they talk about when some incident in Germany happens, when a hijabi girl is pushed down the stairs by a white supremacist. So they do talk about that.
Could you link me to where the?
I don't have that, but I actually remember reading that on Dawn newspaper. So you could probably find that somewhere. I don't have it with me at the moment, but this is obviously an old news story. But they do talk about these things. They do talk about Islamophobia. Dawn actually just wrote a huge piece on Islamophobia in Canada as well. Which is, again,
the family was killed because specifically for their Muslim faith. That's why they.
But again, still. So are you saying that that's the only time when Pakistan takes notice because it's a Pakistani family?
I'm not defending Pakistan.
No. But you're making a point. Yeah, you're making a point that that was because a Pakistani family. That's why they talk about it. But they don't. Are you implying that they don't talk about other Muslims at any point?
I don't know. You need to provide the evidence.
Okay, so I'm saying that they do. I'm saying that they do. And this is what I do. From time to time, I show those news pieces and talk about them.
You showed
I don't have it.
Afghans raping or killing a child, right? Which is terrible.
It's not.
You should.
Again.
Why don't you highlight? Look, there's a case here where an Australian man, he passed around his 6-year-old child, his own child, from the age of 6 to 21 men.
My
and then
audience
killed
is
his
not
wife
that.
and killed himself.
Yeah, but
Why
my
not?
audience, because that's not my audience. That's not what I talk about.
Maybe they were influenced by Christianity. You know, like you're saying, this is
I never.
maybe your Christian audience might be.
No,
You know,
I
they
don't
might
know.
be,
No, not at all. Not at all. Because as I said,
they were
in this
they were
case,
Christian background. This guy was over. These guys were a Muslim background.
it could be he could actually be, may as well be an atheist as well, for all I
These
care.
two could have been
But
atheists. Do you have any
yeah,
evidence?
yeah,
That they're
exactly.
not? The two Afghans. Do
When
you have any
they
evidence
have
that they're not?
most likely, you know, like where they're coming from. Again, that
Well,
wasn't the
most
point I
likely,
made.
like,
Again, I didn't even make the point. I didn't even make the point that these guys were Muslims or it had anything to do with Islam. I made the point. These are refugees, and we need to talk about them and we need to educate them. That was the whole point of the video.
Yeah, but you said specifically in the video, you actually said, if you go back and listen to it, you said, why aren't Pakistanis reacting to
Okay.
this?
Well, no, I've already
Why
considered that.
Muslims reacting to this? Why aren't Muslims reacting to this? That's what you said.
Muslims should react to this.
You equated the two things. You actually equated this with the Muslim family that were run over, and they're not equivalent.
That was just
it goes back to my original point. The two are not equivalent because the reasons for doing each crime is different. The reason for the crime in Canada was specifically because they're Muslim. We don't know the reason for this crime. There's no evidence.
No, it's sexual deviance. It's sexual deviance. It's sexual deviance. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. So, so how can you?
I didn't say it's because of. Yeah, but I didn't say it was because of Islam.
Yeah, but you said why aren't Muslims reacting?
No, I'm saying refugee. I'm saying because these refugees are coming.
Why should Muslims react to refugees?
No, because I'm saying no, because these refugees are going to Europe. They're strong. No, because they're coming from Muslim countries. No, because no one is responsible for anything. All individuals are responsible. But the point is, these are coming from Muslim countries. This is becoming a problem for the rest of the world as well. So
condemn two people that come over from Afghanistan. So every Muslim country has to condemn.
Okay, you get it. Okay, so can I answer? I think I made that point before. I am saying that there should be, in the society at large, there should be a reaction to it. The way when we see in the Western society, when a puppy is kicked by someone, you and I can bet our lives on it that there would be a reaction on it. That's all I'm talking about. That when we see crimes committed by refugees, this narrative will be held by the white supremacists who would say, no, look at this. This is all they come. I'm saying when Muslims come out targeting those people who come from Muslim countries, who represent them in a negative light, if they are speaking against it, that would have a different outlook. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why you're actually turning that into Islamic issue, because I never actually did that. I never did that. The only reason,
and I'm answering you. I'm explaining to you why they're not doing it.
But they should. Well, they should do that.
Well, America should, American Christians should call out whenever Congolese Christians are raping Congolese Christian children. Why aren't they calling them out?
Well, because people, unfortunately, there is ingrown. Actually, the Humanist Society of UK focuses on crimes committed by the Christian violence in Africa. They're probably the only one, but that's just probably that's probably the fact. That is probably the fact that people actually, unfortunately, don't really care about crimes in Africa as much.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is institutionalized racism, I would say.
So all humans are tribal, yeah, which is why they don't tend to. This is my second point, which is why they don't tend to highlight.
I'm not tribal. I'm above that. I've evolved. I have evolved. I have evolved past that. This is my actually very good point that you made, that the people are tribal. This is exactly what I'm trying to say, that we shouldn't be tribal. We should go beyond that. We should be looking at a human race rather than a Muslim race or a Christian race or atheist race. This is what I'm saying. And this is the reason why I say that, okay, it's important. It is important when people come from our countries, and I would say by our countries, I would mean India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, or that part of the world, especially.
It's not our country. It's not. Afghanistan is a different language. They speak a different language.
It's coming from the same part of the world. Look, it's coming from the same.
That's the only similarity.
Well, that alone is a pretty big cause to claim it, because it's a ummah, right? But again, my point is, when these things happen, we are much closer to Afghanistan than Austria is, right?
Yeah. But these people are in Austria. They're not in Afghanistan.
Yeah, they come from Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan.
They've come from Afghanistan.
Why do Pakistanis need to comment on a crime committed by?
Look, I've already told you. Fair enough. Pakistanis don't necessarily have to do it. Also, if Pakistanis don't comment on a random hijabi girl who's not Pakistani gets pushed down the subway in Germany, then Pakistanis get outraged on that too. I'm just saying that in that case it would be. But even then, if I go beyond that, I said, okay, fine. But I'm still making a general comment on refugees, and people should be highlighting that, okay, maybe Afghanistan should just do it.
But my bro, it's the same with every single religion. A Christian, for example, is probably
screw them. I don't care about them.
Being persecuted in Syria and Iraq more likely than they are going to be Muslims. There are certain, for example, European countries which took in only Christian refugees and not Muslim refugees because they were the same religion as the majority of people living in those countries. So you can equate this to any single ethnic group, religious denomination. Why are you highlighting Muslims?
Well, because I'm an ex-Muslim. Because I'm an ex-Muslim.
So you want to specifically target Muslims?
No, I'm ex-Muslim. So this relates to me. Oh, by the way, Afghans actually speak Pashtun. So this is your institutional racism that you actually said, oh, Afghans are nothing. The Durand line is actually a temporary line between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So Afghanistan actually not. There's a disputed line, if you remember Durand line. But anyway, beyond the point. I am Pakistani. I am an ex-Muslim. So I am allowed to talk about Islam and Pakistan and Muslims.
You can talk about anything. It doesn't mean you have to specifically focus on a specific
well, it does. But I can.
Yeah.
But I can.
Yeah, you can, because you're an anti-Muslim bigot. That's why you focus specifically on Muslims.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
So is that the best? Is that the best comment that you were going to give at the end? That you're an anti-Muslim bigot?
Because why are you focusing specifically on one group of
because
people?
I told you
were bigoted towards that group of people.
I told you already, I'm an ex-Muslim.
So you focus
these
on
issues.
This is not about Islam.
I am an ex-Muslim. I am an ex-Muslim. I am a Pakistani, and I will talk about these things that are related to Pakistan and its proximity.
But this is Afghanistan, right?
Yeah. I just told you.
In Afghanistan. These are two Afghans that have come to Europe. They're not even living in Afghanistan. They've committed the crime in Europe.
Yes, they came from Afghanistan as refugees.
So
it's a refugee.
Does that make any sense to you? Is that a rational thing?
Yes, it does. It does.
No, it doesn't.
Because they're Afghans, and they are refugees. So it automatically becomes an Afghan issue and a refugee issue.
But it doesn't make it a Pakistani issue.
Well, no, but it's in the proximity. I mean, I talk about Saudi Arabia as well.
You talk about Saudi Arabia as well.
I've spoken about Saudi Arabia as well. Last week I actually spoke about MBS.
You can talk about anything you like, but the problem is you're specifically focusing on Muslims.
Because I am an ex-Muslim. That's why. Because it's like
asking for Muslims.
It's like I didn't say that. But that's not what I said.
Why highlight it? Then what's the point?
Why not highlight it? Because it's a refugee issue. I think you're going in circles now. Yeah, well, you're gonna laugh now. That's the best outcome you've got.
You've lost the plot, mate.
No, mate. I've got
rational guy.
No,
come on,
perfectly
questions.
Perfectly logical and rational. I'm Pakistani. I'm an ex-Muslim. I'm Pakistani. I'm an ex-Muslim. He was from Afghanistan. He's a Muslim.
Exactly.
You don't know if he's a Muslim. He's from Afghanistan. That makes it Afghan issue, a refugee issue, and it's the issue that I'm interested in, and I'll talk about this.
Yeah, sure. You highlight people.
So next week, just to please you. No, hang on. Just to please you, next week I have to talk on great white sharks. Yeah.
Okay. But listen. Just before you finish, so every crime a Muslim commits, every single crime, you're going to highlight now.
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't.
Crime a Muslim commits,
no. Listen to this. Okay, I'll prove you wrong right now.
Yeah.
Right now, just yesterday, a Pakistani Muslim killed a Canadian police officer. Let me find that for you. And I did not talk about it because it turned out to be a case of just a robbery. Let me show that to you.
And this was just a case of rape. So why did he highlight this?
No, because it's a refugee. Because it's a refugee issue. I didn't say that it's an Islamic issue.
Yeah, you did.
You said get that? No.
You said it was an Islamic issue. You said why aren't Muslims thinking horrified when a Muslim commits it? You didn't say when a refugee commits it originally. Go back and listen to your original thing you did.
I said
why aren't Pakistanis or why aren't Muslims offended when a Muslim
they get outraged?
They get outraged. You didn't say refugee.
They get outraged.
Muslim.
They get outraged. Okay. So I said Muslim Well, they probably turned out to be Muslims as well. There might be as well. But again, I'm talking about it from the refugee point of view. I don't know exactly what I said.
Originally, you never said
that. But that's okay. Well, I'm telling you now. Okay, I'm telling you now that is the reason why I'm talking about it. So that's just take it or leave it.
Yeah, talk about whatever you want, but you're gonna be regarded as a bigot for what.
Well, I don't care. Well, I don't. Well,
watching. I mean, you've got 80 people watching. I mean, is this the best they could get? You.
I don't really care. I don't really care if people like you label me a bigot. You know, that's not gonna make any difference to my life.
But I've just proven to you why you're a bigot.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You have proven shit, man.
You said why aren't Muslims? You said why aren't
you have
Muslims
proven. You have proven.
That's what you said.
Well, again, it's coming from the refugee because they've come from a Muslim country. And it's a refugee issue. Yeah. They have come from a Muslim country. We have a stake. Yeah, go ask them. Go ask them.
But you're only focused on Muslims, don't you? Yeah.
Well, as I said, this is closer to home. Yeah. These issues are closer to home, so I'm going to talk about it.
You're proven the kind of person.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah. You're welcome.
If anyone takes you seriously, if any organization, Western organization, takes this guy seriously, you know, you've kind of proven the kind of person.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm proud. I'm glad you made the point. So he says that I talk about it because I'm an anti-Muslim bigot because he's a Muslim, and this is the news story that was sent to me, and I actually said I'm not going to use it because it was just a case of robbery. Now he's saying this is a case of rape, and I'm just talking about it because it's a refugee issue. A refugee issue is a big issue that is triggering a lot of people in the West. So I just don't get it. I think these guys, the only good point he made is that Pakistanis are probably not outraged at that is because these two Afghans were not Pakistanis. Okay, but still that doesn't explain why Pakistanis get outraged when a random Muslim gets discriminated against in a Western country. So, but I'm see, this is how charitable I am. I'm even willing to give him that okay, I'll give a pass to Pakistanis on that. But no. What about I didn't talk about this. This is 2 days old. It was sent to me 2 days ago. This news story. Man 31 charged with first-degree murder in Toronto cop slaying. Umar Zamir, a Pakistani. A 31-year-old man faces first-degree murder charge in Friday's line of duty death of veteran Toronto cop. He so this guy was killed, but he was killed in the line of duty when he was midway through a robbery. So it was a case of robbery. I didn't talk about this. I didn't say, hey, look, this is what migrants are doing. I didn't say that. The only reason why I talked about it because it was a refugee issue. It's a refugee issue. There's a lot of refugees going to the European countries, and they are worried about it. And the narrative is being taken by the white supremacists. I'm not even against refugees. I'm saying refugees should be allowed in. But these guys just, they have their own, they cannot think past it. They cannot think past the Islamic identity. That's the only reason why I think he couldn't get the simple point. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.